How you doing, guys? My name is Luke, and in this video I want to talk about one of the most important tools that we as humans need in order to gain emotional control. Now, I first discovered the foundations of this tool when I was in my early 20s. I was deeply depressed. I was in the midst of a depressive season, you could call it. When I was in these dark, depressive times, I used to spend a lot of time just sitting under the stars down by a local lake in my hometown in Australia. I would just sit there at night, late at night, and just look up at the stars and contemplate life and the point of everything, and would just sit there a lot. And as I was sitting there under the stars, I wasn't just sitting there peacefully. It sounds like a peaceful situation. I was trying to gain peace, but a lot of my peace was destroyed because of all these conclusions I had drawn about myself. How I'm not good enough, how life's pointless, how everything that I do doesn't count, is meaningless. I couldn't appreciate things. I couldn't really feel things. And really the biggest thing was I had all these toxic beliefs and judgments about myself. On this one particular night, the stars were shining extra bright. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but on this particular night, I had this kind of realization moment. I kind of had this moment where I stood back from my thinking and I realized that all my thoughts and judgments, they weren't actually true. They didn't really exist in the realness, in the reality of things. Everything just is without judgment, without evaluation. And what I realized was that there is no meaning until we give something a meaning. And the same goes for ourselves. The meanings we give to ourselves, the judgments we give to ourselves, whether we're not good enough, or they're not actually true or real. They feel real, but in the real, capital R, real sense of the word, I've never seen someone who's just 100% not good enough. Have you ever met someone who's absolutely not good enough? It's not a real thing. It's a just conceptual idea. And that's the thing about ideas. When we get really caught up in these ideas and believe our ideas, they start to become real to us and to our nervous system. So really in this video, I want to share the tool that I discovered then and have since refined. And that's the tool of stepping back from our thinking, suspending judgment, and then thinking critically about our thoughts, because those thoughts and that kind of thinking is what's driving our emotions. It's what's driving our reactions and our behaviors. And if we want to gain emotional control, we need to gain a greater level of management over our mind. And this is the first step. There's a great quote by Viktor Frankl, I believe it was, and he says that between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response is our freedom and our growth. And that's what this tool here is going to create, a useful, more resourceful use of that space between stimulus and response. And actually creating more space, because right now it's usually just stimulus, response, stimulus, response. So before we get into this, I want to just give you a basic understanding of perception so you know what I'm talking about. So at the very basic level of perception, how do we create perceptions? So we have, in every moment, we have about 2 million bits of information coming into our 5 senses every second. 2 million bits. So of course we can't perceive all that at once. So what our brain does is it filters it down through our beliefs, our memories, our past decisions we've made, our meta programs, our perceptual filters, and it filters it down to delete, distort, and generalize, to then come to a conclusion about what is going on. So we delete, distort, and generalize the 2 million bits of information, and we come to a conclusion. We have a conclusion that we've drawn, and that conclusion is what puts us into a certain state, and then that state drives our reactions or our behavior. So that's a very simplified version of understanding perception, how we create perception. For example, if someone sees a dog, they sees a dog coming up to them. Let's say that same person has, in their past, been attacked by a dog. Their brain is going to filter down filter in that information to create a much different state and reaction to someone who has had great experiences with dogs growing up. So you can imagine maybe someone with the memory of being attacked by a dog, they see a dog and it triggers off that memory, and their reaction is to keep themselves safe. Where someone else sees a dog and it triggers off the memory of their dog and all the great experiences, and they just want to go down and pat the dog. So I want to get into the tool now. So what the tool is it's going to be a tool that you would use away from an actual situation. So you're not going to use this in the moment. Eventually you will. Eventually this is going to become a part of your thinking and frameworks from what you operate from. So essentially we have the information come in, then we have we draw a conclusion, and in this moment we want to suspend judgment. We want to suspend the conclusion. So we don't want to believe our conclusion yet. So this is the stepping back and going, okay, so that's my current conclusion. And then we want to actually think about our thinking. We want to suspend the judgment, step back from our thinking, and think about our thinking. So we want to realize that that is just one way to think about this situation. And we want to ask ourselves 3 questions. I like to ask 3 questions. So the first one is this absolutely 100% true, what I'm thinking right now? So for example, if I was sitting there thinking, I'm not good enough. Well, is this absolutely 100% true? Well, couldn't really be, right? Good enough at what? What are we referring to? That's a vague term. I'm just not good enough. Maybe in some areas I'm not good enough to drive a race car, but I'm good enough to walk down the street. Like, you see what I mean? So we want to think about it critically. So we're stepping back, suspending the judgment, not evaluating, not concluding any judgment yet. We're stepping back from it, and we're asking the question, is this absolutely true? Second question we're asking, is this helpful? Is this kind of thinking helpful? The third question is this empowering? Is this kind of thinking, is it true? Is it helpful? And is it empowering? If the answer is no to any of them, then we need to take a minute and think about our thinking and come to a much more resourceful, more accurate, more empowering kind of thinking. Now, this is why it's good to work with a professional, because this is what a professional helps you do in real time when you're working with someone like a coach or a therapist. Ideally, they're getting you to think about your thinking and restructure your thinking so you can begin to operate from a new kind of thinking. In neurosemantics, we say the quality of your thinking is the quality of your life. So in conclusion, this tool is really about stepping back from our thinking, suspending judgment, and thinking critically about our thinking. And from there, we want to ask, is this true? Is it absolutely true? We want to question our thinking, especially if that kind of thinking is toxic and not serving us. Is this true? Is it helpful? And is it empowering me? And again, if it's a no to those, we want to take the time to come up with more accurate, empowering, and helpful thoughts and ways of thinking that will serve your reactions much, much better.